Gaynor, congratulations on your appointment. We look forward to working with you, sir. Acting Administrator Gaynor, as you've probably heard, many counties in Tennessee, my home state, have been hit hard in recent weeks with historic levels of flooding. In some neighborhoods in Hamilton County, my home county, the floodwaters continued to rise as recently as last week. In response, several counties in Tennessee are applying for grants from FEMA to mitigate the impact of this disaster, and our governor, Bill Lee, is closely evaluating the situation to determine the strain on state resources. In cases where the governor, working with state and local officials, determines that more help is needed, can you describe the process FEMA utilizes to make a recommendation concerning a presidential disaster declaration?
Yes, sir. And I'll just use my experience as a local and state director. What usually happens after disaster, there's a series of data collection to see what amount of disaster is actually out there. They call them preliminary damage assessments. So it's a team of local, state, and federal partners going out there to assess damage. From that, the state or the county or the local will write a request for disaster assistance. The governor and the state's emergency manager will probably evaluate that to see if it stands up to the law and on merit. And then the governor has the discretion to forward that to the president for action. It comes through the FEMA region. So the FEMA region responsible for Tennessee will look at it, and they'll forward it to FEMA headquarters. We'll evaluate it again, and then ultimately we send it to the president for disposition.
Thank you, sir. Is the process more challenging when the damage is more spread out and not concentrated?
It's challenging in trying to, tally up what's damaged and what's private, what's public, what has insurance, what doesn't have insurance. All those things go into it, economic factors. So it really depends on the uniqueness of the location. But I'm sure the emergency management director in Tennessee has been through this a few times. We offer technical assistance if there's any problems trying to assess the status of their initial assessments.
My final question on this part, sir, is are there steps that the agency can take to reduce the holding period and expedite the process, sir?
The holding period as in relation to?
I guess the holding period in regard to on your all side.
It typically doesn't take too long, and I'll just use the Alabama. I think within a few days the president approved it. So again, not every disaster is equal. They're all unique in its own way. Some take more because they're more complicated. Some are pretty straightforward and gets a little faster.